Hi again, everybody. Welcome to the Carroll McCray Show here at North Greenville University, where Christ makes a difference. Well, Coach, it was Heroes Homecoming this past weekend, and I think your team made a few heroes. A few of mine, Stephon Bino, Darius Polk, and Terrell Hillary. Those guys really had some great games.
Well, they did, and those three guys are on both ends of the spectrum. You know, Bino's been here a long time, played a lot of football, and had an outstanding day. He was really hard to block, and he's been hard to block most of the season. And then the other two guys, I think, are probably 18 years old and in their first year playing, and we're really dependent on them. And all three respectively had a good day. So they really stood out.
Well, Bino, he had career high in tackles with 12. He forced 3 fumbles, intercepted a pass, and sealed the game. It can't get too much better than that on the defensive end.
Well, it's fun. Anytime they get the ball in their hands, it's fun for them. It's scary for us. So when he ended the game there, it's certainly exciting to see. But he started the game very fast. He really does a lot for us and really disrupted their line of scrimmage. But, you know, he's really done that throughout the year. He's been very difficult for our opponents to block. A lot of coaches make comments about him, and we've challenged him to improve his play each and every week, do the things he needs to do to be the best he can be and be a leader. And really, I've been really pleased with that. Regardless of the score, he has played hard throughout the ball game in every game we played, and that's what you want out of your older guys, to set the tone, set the example, and really go out there and be productive, because it's about production on the field if you want to win games, and he really set the tone Saturday.
Well, Coach, speaking of the tone of the game, that seems like Brevard facing that triple option again, third time in 4 weeks. It looks like your defense handled it, but boy, Brevard was not about to back down, and neither were you. It was a mano-a-mano in the first half.
Well, it was a tough ball game, and our defense did an outstanding job. I think they had 16 yards of total offense the first half, which meant we really honed down on what we were doing, got things squared away. Our guys knew what was going on by formation. I don't think we really missed much of the mark any time there in the first half. Our guys really executed the plan that our coaches put forth. And, you know, when you're playing good on defense, you struggle a little bit on offense, you got a little time trying to get things worked out, and that's what happened. So probably the best thing about our football team that happened Saturday was when the defense was playing extremely great and we were struggling offensively, nobody pointed fingers, everybody pulled for each other, everybody worked together, and really you could feel that anxiety go away and a lot of faith in each other that, you know, we were going to get things going and have an opportunity, and it turned out to be true.
Well, North Greenville defeated Brevard College this past weekend 14-10 at homecoming, but the game really seemed to came down to the second half. Yeah. Terrell Hillary came into the game midway through the first half and settled down and started generating some drives, and you had a couple big touchdown late in the game and some other big plays.
Well, he made some plays for us, and we were had some people playing different spots, you know, because Freddie Martino was out, and we had to put some other people in action. So we struggled early, but Tyrell came in. He did a really good job. Probably the most difficult part, he hadn't practiced a whole bunch because he's been injured. But he came in, made some big plays, and certainly he can do some things with his arm and with his feet. And when we got Paul going in the running game, and we could have a little option game going with Tyrell in there, it really helped us. But we got flushed out of the pocket a little bit, made some throws, guys made some great catches, and we seemed to kind of get into a little bit of a groove, thinking we could do some things, and we moved the football pretty effectively, and then 2 big turnovers came in our favor, and we took advantage of them.
We'll talk about Darius Polk, over 100 yards for the second time this year, 145 yards. He really seemed to really have stepped up, and he really gained that experience that you wanted him to have during the season.
Well, he did. You know, he's kind of building back where he was the first couple of games of the season before he hurt his ankle. And our linemen did a good job handling some movement up front and some things they were doing. And Darius, he's a really good, strong inside runner, which, you know, gives you those first downs. That's what you want. So he did a really good job, you know, and then we had a couple guys step up and make a few big plays for us. And but getting that run game going on the inside is really key for us so that we can get the ball in other spots and try to be productive there.
Well, Coach, I know coming out of the locker room in the second half, everything seemed to settle down like you said. I would like to have heard what happened in the locker room at halftime.
Well, there's certainly a lot of encouragement for each other, but really pleased with our football team. Our defense really pulling for the offense. We had to get some things corrected in the kicking game. Our kicking game was not as high a level as it was the week before. So we still got work to do there. And we made a few corrections, made some decisions. We go in different directions within our kicking game, as well as a few personnel changes. and I saw everybody pull together. So I was really looking forward to watching how our team would play in the third quarter. We came out, we got the football, started moving a little bit offensively, and I think everybody started rallying around what we were doing and believing that we could make some plays, and it ended up that we would.
I really like the idea of what you said about the defense. The defense kind of kept everything under control, so you could rebound on your offense, so to speak. So the defense really had another great week.
Well, they really did, and then we caught fire, you know, and we threw a little pass out there to Cam Cannell, and he's an ex-quarterback, and he hooked up there on a really long play that proved to be a big touchdown. And, you know, the collegiate game, as many games, so much emotion and momentum. And all of a sudden we make a big play, and then, you know, it's not long that we're thinking we can make more plays, and we did, and it turned out to be a really good last few minutes of the third quarter and a big fourth quarter, a lot of action.
Well, speaking of the defense, we're going to bring in co-defensive coordinator Brett Hickman to talk about the defensive movement that the Crusaders have had this season. I'm here with North Greenville co-defensive coordinator Brett Hickman. Well, Coach, I know we lost a lot of players from last year's defensive team, lost only 4 starters returning. So how have you and Coach Adrian Rocco worked together to build a new defensive scheme?
Well, you know, I've been fortunate. I've been here through some good times and some rough times so far this year. And, you know, when I decided to stay here with Coach McCray, we knew what the challenges were going to be. We lost 7 guys off last year's defense, straight up the middle. You're talking about some great players, the Mark Smiths, the Nathan Batchelors, the Nick Rosamondas, Jamarius Robinson, and the list goes on and on. So when we talked about it, we talked about keeping our standard the same, and we haven't made excuses. And that's the thing I've been proud of through some injuries and through some youth and some rough times is we've continued to play hard, and that was a standard that Coach Staggs and the previous staff had set before these guys. And our guys have played hard. At times we haven't executed the way we want to, but our guys have continued to develop and get better, and we still take a lot of pride in being a physical unit. We've got to get better at stopping the run. We understand that, and continuing to play fast, continuing to play extremely physical, and playing hard. And those are the things that you can never substitute on defense. If you continue to do those, you're going to have moments where you're pretty good, and we have 2 of the last 3 weeks. I think the fruits of our labor over the course of the last 6 months have started to show again.
We still have some great players, you know, Jonathan Sharp, Braylon Meredith, Stephon Bino, Isaiah Johnson. Pretty good core there, but you've been able to blend in some new guys this year.
Yeah, you know, it's been difficult because, you know, you talk about those guys. Those guys were very good players surrounded by other great players. And the issue a lot's been is our strength up the middle has gone. We've had to rely on some youth and some younger guys there, and couple that with some other guys like Zach Epteen, you know, who you were counting on to be your anchor at nose tackle, had been hurt. And you've had to build your defense around a little bit more, I would say, speed, as opposed to having that size in the middle that you really need. And those guys have played well. You know, Stephon Bino's had a great senior year, and Braylon Meredith is about the most consistent guy we've had, and Jonathan's playing really at the level he played at last year, especially the last month. So as they've continued to play well, now our younger guys are starting to play a little bit better, and it's showing out. And it looks like 11 guys doing what they're supposed to, as opposed to 3 or 4 at the start of the year. So that's been encouraging. You know, I hate that it took a month or 2 to get it going, but over the last 3 weeks, really the Newberry game and the Brevard game, I thought those guys have really started to take on the leadership role that we had been missing, and it's brought our young guys with them.
Well, I know that you and Coach Adrian have definitely developed some priorities for your defense.
Yeah, we do. You know, I think you can never underestimate having a lot of depth, particularly up front, and it's because of certain circumstances. You know, first half, you know, we lose Eric Mitchell, who has a chance to be a really special player at this level, and then we lost Zach to just basically a freak injury with a broken or torn esophagus. And, you know, we thought we were going to be pretty deep there. We thought that was where the strength of this football team and this defense was going to be. And we had another young man who's had some issues, and so really we're playing about 7 or 8 guys up front, where I thought going into the year we were going to be able to play 10 or 11. And that's our top priority right now as we go into these final 3 weeks and into the off seasons, developing more depth up front and in the back end. And it's hurt us at times on special teams because we're not very deep in the secondary right now. And the guys that have been special teams anchors for us over the past couple of years, the Darren Fosters, the C.J. Thomases, guys like that have had to take on a larger role in defense, and we have to foster and develop more depth behind them so that we don't lose as much on special teams. And that's been an issue as well, and we've got to continue to build depth through these last 3 weeks and through recruiting.
Well, defense has always been one of the strong points the last few years here at North Greenville. So, Coach Hickman, thanks for giving us a little bit more of an insight on what's going on with the defensive unit for the Crusaders.
Absolutely.
Well, Coach, the Brevard win obviously was a big opportunity for your team. How will you use that to build on the rest of the season? 3 games to go, 2 at home, another road game coming up. So it's something I think that I sense something that really will be big for your team coming up.
Well, I think that the biggest thing that came out of the game was the things that we had done 2 weeks ago against Newberry. We came back and we did some of those things well. Turnovers always proved to be big. We had 2 turnovers, almost cost us the game, yet Brevard turned the ball over late. We took advantage of it. We stayed away from we had a couple of penalties, but we stayed away from a bunch of penalties, which proved that hidden yardage had really been hurting us. So we want to continue to build on those little things that really hurt a young football team. But I think we gained some confidence in being a team more than a special teams, an offense, and a defense, and that's the direction we needed to go. I'm really looking forward to see where we can move that now. A great challenge going on the road. We need to win a football game on the road to prove we gained some ground as a team, and I'm looking forward to our guys really pulling together. I think we got an opportunity to maybe get a few more injured guys back. We did sustain a little injury here or there this week, but not much. I think everybody's going to have a chance to come back and play, and the more guys we have that can play, and with experience, I think the better off we are. We're gaining valuable experience with our young guys, so now the last 3 weeks, can you put it together and prove that we've learned things that we can do together to be productive?
Well, Coach, speaking of the little things, how about your off the stat sheet award for this week?
Well, you know, the guy I thought about was Antonio Barrett. He's a guy that has worked his way on the field. He ended up starting the game last week against Carson Newman. He started the game this week, played really well at nose guard. You know, your nose isn't going to get much attention. When he does his job, he's getting double teams and all that stuff in the middle. He tweaked his ankle a little bit there in the 3rd quarter, but a guy like that really shows that hard work pays off. Doesn't matter about your size, it's what you got on the inside, and really proud of the way Antonio's come on and helped us win the game, especially this past week as he started at nose for us.
Well, Coach, one last road trip for the 2012 season, heading up to Salisbury, North Carolina to take on the Catawba Indians. Never an easy place to play. I haven't been there before, but in the previous history that we had a tough time up at Catawba. So that'd be a kind of an interesting experience for your team.
Well, it will be. You know, we're going to play an early game, 1:30, so we got to get up and get going. And they played well. You know, they had an overtime game this past week on the road. The week before, they played Mars Hill to a 7-point football game on the road. So I think they're, getting some things done with their team as well. So I think we match up in some areas. Some places we're going to have to play extremely well to have an opportunity to challenge them at their place. But looking forward to taking our football team on the road for the last time. If we're going to improve our program and have the team we want to have, we've got to win games on the road. So it's a great challenge for us. Have we learned? Can we take things we've done at home well, put them together and play on the road in a hostile environment, which it will be at their place before we come back home.
As Coach said, the Crusaders take on Catawba on the road this coming Saturday. Kickoff is at 1:30. Following that game, North Greenville will close out the 2012 schedule with 2 home games. It will host Wingate on Saturday, November 3rd, and then the final game against Virginia University of Lynchburg on Saturday, November 10th. That'll be Military Appreciation Day, and that's always a special day here at North Greenville. Crusader fans who can't make it to the Catawba game can watch the game live streaming on our website. Go to www.ngcrusaders.com, or also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and other social media sites to follow the Crusaders. Well, Coach, I know you're happy with the win against Brevard. Guys made some big plays. Let's hope it's contagious.
Well, it surely is. Anytime you win a ball game, especially homecoming, you're excited for the fans and school and for our football team. And we hope it'll bleed over into another win as we go down the road.
I hope you beat Catawba this weekend. We'll see you back at home at Down Stadium against Wingate on November 3rd. So for Coach Carroll McCray, I'm Fred Battenfield, and this is a North Greenville Sports Network.